Number 3, objective moral values in the world.
Religion, objective morality, and a moral lawgiver. How many times have we heard the same point made, albeit in diverse forms and from different sources? The argument, whether stated expressly or impliedly, is that without a moral lawgiver, namely God, there would be no morality. Also, that evolution cannot explain morality. Of all the arguments used by creationists or theists as evidence of their God's existence, I find this not only to be the weakest, but also the most offensive. Here are some examples of what I mean.
Which leads me to my third question. Where do you get your morals from?
What is good and evil? Is it absolute or is it relative? That's the question. I know you've stated that it's relative. I disagree. In the Judeo-Christian value system, God is the source of right and wrong, and therefore it transcends personal opinion.
Now, the God of the Bible, you see, he is what I believe to be the objective moral giver.
The first is this: they have an intense problem then with defining morality.
The Ten Commandments represent an objective, God-based morality which you guys can't stand.
You see, the question of a moral law, it comes within us. So I said to him, when you say there's such a thing as evil, aren't you assuming there's such a thing as good? He said, yes. I said, when you say there's such a thing as good, you must assume a moral law. He said, all right, I'll grant you that. I said, but when you say there's such a thing as a moral law, you must posit a moral lawgiver. But that's whom you're trying to disprove and not prove. If there's no moral lawgiver, there's no moral law. If there's no moral law, there's no good. If there's no good, there's no evil. What is your question?
And it seems that there is an obsession with the conclusion that in a godless, atheist world, murder, and more commonly rape, would be acceptable and commonplace.
On the atheistic view, there's nothing really wrong with your raping someone.
To pull out a gun and shoot you guys, which I'm not going to do, but if I wanted to, would that be, I mean, you couldn't say it was right or wrong,
right?
Because, hey, there's no absolute standard by which we must adhere to.
What goes on as criminal action now becomes commonplace and legal in the future, allowing such heinous acts like pedophilia and rape to become lesser crimes or even non-crime in the future.
It really is difficult to know where to begin. But let's try. So far as the evolutionary explanation for morality is concerned, there is well-documented, peer-reviewed papers, links to which are in the description. This issue was also dealt with by Thunderfoot in his Why Do People Laugh at Creationists, number 29.
Piranhas, ruthless pack killing machines, right? But notice, even in the feeding frenzy, they don't kill each other. Piranhas do not believe in a god, yet they don't do whatever they want. Where do these ruthless killing machines get their moral code about not killing each other from?
It is also addressed by Dawkins in his book The God Delusion, as expressed here.
You accuse people, I suppose Christians, of saying that we get our morality from the scriptures. But clearly this cannot be the case because humanity from every civilization throughout time has a sense of morality, and clearly most of them have not had access to the Bible. So I'm curious then what you think is the origin of this morality. If someone comes in here with a gun and begins shooting all of us, we would call that bad. Why? Why is that bad?
I think we probably agree that people don't, as a matter of fact, get their morality from scriptures, and that's what I was actually saying. People get their morality from somewhere quite other than the scriptures, and to the extent that they do get their morality from the scriptures, as I was saying, they pick and choose.
But I want to approach this issue from another angle and ask, have those that put forward this argument actually read the Bible? If people are going to claim that their morality comes from God, as evidenced in the Bible, then either they must rely upon the Ten Commandments or an interpretation of the Bible itself. That includes the Old Testament and the New Testament. So far as they may seek to rely upon the Ten Commandments as God's moral compass, I don't even have to address this issue. I'll let the theists do it for me. Do you remember the question that was posed to Dawkins? This was from a doctor from Liberty University, and even he said this.
You accuse people, I suppose Christians, of saying that we get our morality from the scriptures. But clearly this cannot be the case because humanity from every civilization throughout time has a sense of morality, and clearly most of them have not had access to the Bible.
I accept that being a doctor at Liberty University is not a particularly impressive qualification. But how about an archbishop? In a recent debate between the Archbishop of Nigeria and Anne Widdecombe on one side, and Christopher Hitchens and Stephen Fry on the other, this question was asked.
Many people today feel that we're really living in some kind of moral crisis, and you can see that all around us. Now, if one thing the Catholic Church does do for good, in my opinion, is give us the Ten Commandments, a very basic, obvious way of giving us some kind of moral guidance. Would you not agree with that?
Although I'll play Hitchens' response, I would invite you to give particular attention to the answer given by His Grace.
Now, of the commandments, the first 2 or 3 are entirely about fearing the author of the orders. Entirely about being terrified of someone who you're enjoined to love. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but the idea of compulsory love has always struck me as a bit shady, especially if you're ordered to love someone who you absolutely must fear. So the first 3 are look out for me and keep at least one day of mine where you'll be terrified full time.
Anne Widdecombe. Okay, Archbishop, do you want to come in briefly on this?
The Ten Commandments are in the Bible, but my father knew it before he became a Christian. All African religions recognized those basic norms of morality. Everybody knows that.
All right.
That's right. An archbishop accepts that everyone knows of the morality contained in the Ten Commandments without the necessity of belief in or knowledge of Christianity or a God.
The question that must be asked is, how would God, in my God-based text, judge this action? Not how do I feel about it. Everything that is good comes from a God-centered morality.
Thus, without God, there is no absolute right and wrong which imposes itself on our conscience.